Sir David Beckham for services to sport and to charity.
I wouldn't say it's relief, I would just say it's pride. I think people know how patriotic I am. I think people know how much I love my country. When you have a voice, you can make change, and it's lucky that I get to work with so many amazing children, and you want to make change for them.
You had a good chat in there.
We did.
With the King. So can you tell us what you were talking about?
Well, actually, he was admiring my suit, and I actually said he was the inspiration, funnily enough. I looked at old pictures of him in his younger years, and because I know how elegant he dresses, and I just thought it was quite important for me to get it right. And my wife made the suit, so I was very lucky.
Many, many congratulations. I have to ask what the 14-year-old lad who signed for Man U would make of all of this.
Oh my goodness. I've held it together up until now, so that question's quite a difficult one. But I think that, you know, being an East London boy, you know, growing up in Leytonstone, moving to Manchester, and now stood here at Windsor Castle with His Majesty the King, giving me a knighthood is something that I could never have imagined happening to me. You know, my dream as a young boy was always to become a professional footballer, play for Manchester United and represent my country, and luckily enough I got to do that. But you know, everything else that has come with, you know, my career and what I've done, and obviously the philanthropic work that I do, you know, I think that that's what's special about today. It's not just because of my sport, it's because of the philanthropic work that I've done from a very early age. I think I was talking about it last night with my parents, that I think I started, you know, charity work when I was 15, 16 at Manchester United, and then obviously went on to, you know, become UNICEF ambassador and working for the Royal Foundation and, you know, the King's Foundation and Malaria No More and the Armed Forces. So, you know, I've been very lucky to work for very important charities around the world. And, you know, I think one of the things that I recognised when I was very young is, you know, because I had a successful career, I was able to implement change with the things that I said and the things that I got involved in. And I think that's why the charity work that I do is so important to me. But you know, the 14-year-old boy from East London standing here in the castle with His Majesty the King, it's a very proud moment for me and my family.
You grew up in a family that adored the royal family.
Yeah.
So how special for you to have your parents here as well today?
Like, I think that obviously, you know, when I was last honoured for my OBE, I brought my grandparents, and that was very special because the royal family have played a huge role in our family over the years, and we know how important our royal family is, and you know, it's the most important institution in the world and the most respected institution in the world. So to be stood here today being honoured as an East End boy, you know, and to have done what I've done and be able to work, you know, with the charities that I've worked with and played with the teams that I've played with and the players that I've played with and the managers that I've played under. And I also want to thank the British people as well, because, you know, with their support over the years, it's been it's one of the reasons why I'm here today. So it's a big moment.
And you've been a role model, particularly for young men, for a very long time, but does this almost make it more, you know, make it more of a role model now that you've got this honour?
Like, I think someone just asked me a question about is it time to slow down and is there any more to do, and actually no, it's time to, you know, put a bit more in and do a lot more, because, you know, my work with the charities that I work with, unfortunately, will never end, because, you know, we're trying to, you know, secure children's futures and their safety around the world, and unfortunately there's always a crisis and there's always something that's happening. So my work with charities will never end, and with everything else, you know, I think there's a responsibility that comes with, you know, being honoured and becoming a Sir, but I've already known that responsibility for a long time, for a number of years. I think that when I became a professional footballer, when I became England captain, you know, when I became a father, when I became a husband, you know, the responsibilities change and they get bigger, and I understand those responsibilities. But, you know, today is a moment to kind of reflect, and I very rarely reflect on my past career and the things that I've done, but I think I will take today and savour this moment because it's a very special moment.
And you had a little pop at Victoria in the documentary for never having designed something for you.
I know,
Even
I
now,
know.
this is good.
I know it's very good. And one of the King's comments were, you know, wow, that's a beautiful suit. So I didn't get the opportunity to say my wife made it, and I'm sure she'll make you one. But I will at some point. You know, I will make that point. But yeah, it's a very special moment, and obviously to have Victoria here and my mum and dad, and you know, it's a very proud day for them.
There's been years and years of speculation and rumour, you know, if, when will this happen? There must be a bit of relief as well as all the pride that you're feeling.
I wouldn't say it's relief, I would just say it's pride. You know, I think, you know, people have talked about it for a number of years, and I always felt so lucky to have, you know, the honour that I already had with the OBE, and I do feel, you know, very lucky to have that. But obviously to be recognised now as a Sir, you know, it's very special. But there's not really relief. It's just I couldn't be prouder, because I think people know how patriotic I am. I think people know how much I love my country. I've always made that point. I've always said how important the monarchy has been, you know, to our family over the years. And like I said, I'm lucky enough to travel around the world and go to different places around the world, and everywhere I go, all people want to talk about is our monarchy and how great they are and how respected they are. So, you know, it makes me very proud, and I've always flown our flag wherever I've lived, wherever I've gone, and I'll continue to do that.
How are you going to celebrate? Are you sticking around, or have you got to rush back to the bees and the chickens?
Oh no, the chickens and the bees are okay for a few days, so I'll take today. We'll have a nice lunch with my parents and my kids, and then maybe a nice dinner tonight.
Your life has already been so multifaceted. Is there anything that you haven't yet explored that you might like to? Politics, maybe? Your senior leadership in England football?
I mean, I've always stayed away from politics. I continue to stay away from it because I think there's more equipped people, maybe, that can do and make those decisions. But you know, like I said, you know, there's a lot more to do and a lot more things that I want to be involved in and make changes with, because I think that's one of the things I said earlier. Is I realised very early on, quite a young age, that, you know, people listen to me, and people listen to me because of my career and the things and the teams that I've played for, and when you have a voice, you can make change, and it's lucky that I get to work with so many amazing children, and you want to make change for them.